It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Conversations with Joan. Conversations with Joan will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life's Conversations with Joan. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. Conversations with Joan focuses on topics that are important to your life, from health and wellness to professional development to personal well-being. Change makers join me to share their insights, tips, and strategies so you can thrive and live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. Now, let's start talking. Everyone dreams, but most people don't know their dreams can be used for personal development. Today's guest, Machiel Klerk, shares how you can manifest the life you want by cultivating an intimate relationship with your dreams and taking the guidance you receive from your subconscious. According to Machiel, if you ask the right question and keep an open mind, your dream will give you an answer. Machiel is a licensed therapist, expert, and international speaker on dreams. He's traveled the world studying various cultures, their healing traditions, and dream practices. In his book, Dream Guidance, Connecting to the Soul Through Dream Incubation, Machiel explains how dreams can help us in all areas of our daily lives. Welcome, Machiel. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Joan, and it's such a pleasure to be with you.
So, Machiel, I want to start off by talking a little bit about dreams. And I think the first question most people would have is, does everyone dream?
Oh, yes, great question. And indeed, research shows that everyone dreams. Actually, we probably dream somewhat between 4 and 7 dreams each night. That totals up to 2 hours of dreaming every night. And the reason that people don't know that they dream or forgot that they dreamt is that at night our short-term memory goes offline. So we don't really remember what happens during those 6, 7, 8 hours that we lay in bed. And that is because our memory doesn't work well. But the strange thing is, our mind is actually active. And one way that's active is in these dream experiences that we have.
Speaking for myself, there are nights, like you said, that I'll have a deep night's sleep and I don't even think I'm dreaming. I wake up as, nothing happened. And then there are other times where I'll wake up and there will be a dream that was so real that I felt like I was there. Why is that the case, that sometimes it's so vivid and we remember it, and other times it feels like nothing's happening?
Well, very often when the dream experience is very emotional, it will stick with us and it gets stored in our short-term memory. Memory is very dependent upon the intensity of the experience. That is why we might remember what happened on 9/11 or on the day we married or something, because those days our emotions were very high and we remember those events. And it's same with dreams. When the dream is very intense, and that sometimes happens that you even feel like, gosh, this was so real. I didn't even know I was dreaming, or only after you wake up. This is why we sometimes remember those dreams, and other dreams that are probably a little bit less intense and more mundane, we don't remember well.
When you remember a dream like that, is that, almost like your subconscious screaming out to you that there's something here you need to know?
It indeed, it is a signal that that event was very intense and emotional for you. And emotional events almost always suggest either, hey, pay attention to what is going on, or it might even give you a heads up of what is about to happen or a direction for you to go into. So indeed, if you wake up from a dream that was very intense, there's some meaning and some purpose to that can be mined out of it. That's totally right.
You write about something called dream incubation, and what is it, and how can that help us unpack these messages?
Dream incubation is a very old technique in which people ask the dream a question before they go to sleep in order for the dream to give an answer to their question. So we all walk around with questions and dreams and hopes that we would love to have some support from the internal wisdom that we all have. And that wisdom can speak through dreams. And this dream incubation is a technique in which you ask your dream a question, and that could be for health or relationships or growing your business or anything that's relevant for you, and then get an answer in your dreams.
Does this happen automatically? Do you ask and then the next morning you have the answer, or do you have to repeat this process over a period of time?
Yeah, a great question. What you want to do with this technique is really think about what it is that you want to know. So often we might want to, maybe there's a person who wants to find a partner or grow a business or want to eat more healthy or be more kind to oneself. And then you identify that you have that question. You write down the question and formulate it in a good way, because part of the success of the technique is that you formulate the question well, engage in some what I call ritual. But the ritual is really a way of maybe praying or meditating or making some art that communicates to your own unconscious mind or the divine or the spirit, whatever you want to call this phenomenon that lives in us. And those are prerequisites that you do before you go to bed, so that the dream knows, oh, this is important to Joan, and she wants help with X. And I learned that because she did all these rituals, and then the dream will come. And usually the first night, if it doesn't come the first night, just try a second or a third night. But the dream is interested in helping and educating when we ask it for help. And that's how the technique, the first steps of the technique really work.
Would we receive our answer in a vivid dream form, or would we just wake up with some sense of knowing?
Yeah, I love that question. Well, the old wisdom is that when we're in trouble, people often say sleep on it, or take a night of good sleep, which suggests that we all know that something happens at night that in which we work through issues. And some people wake up with an inner sense of knowing, and they just know. Or throughout the day they have a synchronistic event, or something helps them. So that could happen. And this technique is really aimed at that you get a dream that helps you. But if you don't remember the dream, you might wake up with oh, I need to approach this problem in this way, or I need to do this. Mm-hmm. So it can come in many ways.
And that's the important part, because it's like we need a sledgehammer hit over our head or something, like here's the answer on a silver platter, but we just really need to learn how to tune into ourselves, to tap into our inner wisdom.
Yes, that is so right. And this technique is just one way of tapping into this inner wisdom. And you strengthen that relationship by reaching out to the inner wisdom, talking to it, communicating with it through a ritual, spending some time with it. And that in itself helps a person to get a dream, but it also strengthens really the relationship with the inner wisdom, by which we become more attuned to our intuitions, or notice a synchronistic event throughout the day. That is also a little message from the beyond guiding us on our path.
Why do you believe dreams are so difficult to interpret? I know when I wake up and I have one of those vivid dreams, I immediately start to, research everything that was in that dream to try to figure out what the message was. If it's so important, why don't we just tell ourselves what it is?
Well, because the dream talks in a slightly different language than the language that you and I right now talk in. So the dream creates a world. And in that world is an expression of feelings and beliefs and expectations and our emotions. So in a dream, maybe we would be walking into a street, and then it turns out to be a one-way street, or it is a street with a dead end. And that way it would represent we're walking into a one-way street. So it uses a different form of manifesting its idea than our more direct communication. In a certain way, the way that the dream presents it is more comprehensive and like the old idea is that a picture says more than 1,000 words, and a three-dimensional world says more than a picture. So it's really intelligent that way. But it is also we need to be attuned a little bit to the way dreams communicate and how that is different from our own way. So a dream communicates more in it uses symbols and metaphors, and that way we can learn to understand the dream. And there's some practical ways that we actually can work with our dream without needing to dissect the whole dream. So,
would you share some of those with us? Some of those practical ways?
Yeah. So instead of asking the classic question, what does this mean, which we all do when we wake up, we could ask the question, what was the experience, or what was happening? And let me give an example. There was recently a man who had a dream in which he was driving in a tunnel, and he saw in front of him, and he said, "I think I see a mountain lion." Yet when he came closer, he said, "Oh no, it's a tiger. It's beautiful, but I'm really scared." So he slams on the brakes and he drives back. And if you ask the question, what is happening, you could say, "Oh, he's driving in his car. He's moving through life, and when he sees something that's beautiful but scary, he slams on the brakes and he backs out." Then you have a dynamic, and you can look at where in my life do I see this dynamic, that if I encounter something that's beautiful but scary, that I'm instead of approaching it, that I'm out. And this man had a question around his dating life, so it made a lot of sense to him. But you see how by asking the question, what is happening, you can get a storyline, and that doesn't require us to know all the symbols.
So we've been talking about the subconscious and the inner guidance that we receive, but you had mentioned that dreams also have the opportunity for spiritual messaging as well. So can you explain that a little bit more, and why does that occur while we're sleeping?
Well, I think it occurs also when we're not sleeping, that we're always connected to the inner wisdom, which is connected to a larger phenomenon, that whatever name we give it, the unconscious or spirit or the divine or something larger than ourselves that knows about our lives and that is actually interested in helping us live our life in the most optimal way. And it communicates throughout the day, I think, through intuitions and feelings and our instincts and maybe synchronistic events. Yet when we're sleeping at night and we're in this different state of consciousness, we're a little bit closer to its original form, where maybe the soul or the spirit is, and we're more open to its communication. So at night, and people will probably recognize that we have sometimes a dream that maybe tells us something that will happen in the future, or meet deceased ancestors that can meet us in the dream time, and probably also in this reality that we can see them, and it's much more difficult to notice them, or we get a suggestion for something that is important for our purpose, and those things happen easier in the dream time. And my assumption is that's because that dream time is we're more open to our soul or our spirit.
Mm-hmm. So when we dream of someone who passed away, like a parent or a loved one, it very well may be a visit from them?
That is my experience. And I think sometimes it's a symbol, and it means that the own psyche uses that person to represent a certain quality. But I've seen in my own life and with the many people I've worked with, that sometimes people say, "Gosh, I feel like this was dad or this was mom really visiting me and giving me a message." And usually those dreams feel a little bit more intense and have a different quality to them, and not very often have a certain serenity to it. It's not chaotic or fragmented. but it feels like, oh, mom came by to let me know something, that she's okay, or that I'm doing fine, or something to that extent, and people feel that they were being visited by a deceased loved one.
That happened to me, Machiel, 21 years ago after my father passed away. I've dreamt of him one time in 21 years, and it was right
Yeah.
after he died, and he gave me information to tell me that he was okay. But to this day, 21 years later,
Yeah.
I can describe what he was wearing. I remember every
Hmm.
detail of that dream, and I really do believe that he came to let me know he was okay.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. I just got goosebumps from you sharing this story. And I think also it's really beautiful, and that what you describe has those features of, oh, it really felt like that. The quality of the dream is different than a regular dream. It feels a little bit more special, and I'm so happy for you that he came by, letting you know that
Yeah.
he was doing well.
That's why your work is so important, because if we just slow down and start to pay attention to all of this guidance that we are given, we really can go through this life just, I think, with more joy, with more wisdom,
Hmm.
and just being aware of who we are and where we are.
Yes, I also really love that you say when we slow down, and this, I think, indeed the quality that it requires. Even before we go to bed, we let the dream know, hey, I'm paying attention. Whether you ask a question or not, just tell the dream, I would love to have a dream. And the next morning, write down the dream, because otherwise they evaporate. And then we build and nurture this relationship with this inner wisdom that can help us and guide us on this journey through life, and we can live a little bit more colorful life. And life is really difficult sometimes. So we have this free resource living inside of us that wants to help, and we just need to reach out and listen to it and slow down, so that we can sense into it and feel its presence.
So when we go to sleep at night, we have different physical processes that are going on in our body that are taking
Hmm.
place for our health and well-being. But a lot of
Yeah.
people daydream during the day. Is it different? Is it on a
Yeah.
different level? And can you explain the difference?
Yes. So what I think is that there are multiple states of consciousness coexisting. So we have, let's say, our waking consciousness, or our habitual consciousness, and then underneath it, or wherever you want to place it, underneath it is the dreaming consciousness. And when we fall asleep, we fall into this dreaming consciousness. And so our habitual consciousness and this dreaming consciousness, they merge, and we have the experience of dream. However, when we open our eyes again, we just ascend out of that state of consciousness, but that state remains underneath, and will coexist during the day. So when we daydream or fantasize, actually these two states, they merge a little bit, and we get in touch with our unconscious, or the dreaming consciousness. So I think those are similar experiences, the daydream and the night dream. The night dream is just more intense, and you fully fall into it, where the daydream is just in a little dose. We get in touch with with our own soul or unconscious.
The book is Dream Guidance, Connecting to the Soul Through Dream Incubation. Machiel, where can our listeners go to get more information about you and your work?
Well, probably the easiest thing to do is just type in Dream Guidance, and then maybe my last name, Klerk, Klerk. Then it will bring people to my website, which is my first and last name, machielklerk.com. Maybe you can put it in the notes. I know it's a bit of a difficult name, a Dutch name for the country we live in, and many countries. Or go to Jung Platform, JUNG platform.com, where I have some programs of myself, but also other spiritual and psychological programs on how to deal with this with the shadow, synchronicity, etc. That could be of a benefit to people that are interested in deepening their journey of their soul.
Machiel, in our final moments, what's the takeaway? What would you like to leave our listeners with?
I would love to encourage them to try tonight, when they listen to this, to ask their dream a question. Write down a question, make it a simple question, ask one question at a time, and just experiment. You can do much wrong, but if people get a little bit of guidance from their soul in a playful way, an experiential way, and try this method, I think that would be awesome for them, and I would be just excited if they would try it.
Machiel, thank you so much for joining us. This has really been a fascinating conversation, and I'm so happy that you were here to share with us.
Thank you, Joan, and thank you for your really interesting questions and sharing some of your own experiences. It was lovely to hear, and it was great to be with you.
Thank you for joining us. I hope you found the show informative. At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that the information provided is the opinion of our guest and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on our site, listen to past shows on demand, read the digital magazine, sign up for our mailing list, and be sure to follow the show on social media. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.